Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Matre Namaha. Namaste everyone. In today's session, we are going to review the Nama Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta. Our Purvacharyas say that the Namas in Sri Lalita Sahasranama are grouped together based on certain topics. Think of each group as a bunch of grapes. The first bunch consists of three namas, starting with Shri. This is what we reviewed in the previous sessions. What were those namas that started with Shri? Shri Mata, Shri Maharajni, Srimat Simhasaneshwari. So that is the first bunch. Then the second bunch is Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta and Devakarya Samudyata. So in the first three namas, Sri Mata was the divine mother who creates everything. Sri Maharajni is the supreme ruler that maintains the entire Brahmandas. Srimat Simhasaneshwari is one in whom everything goes back into Layam, right? So we kept saying divine mother is this, divine mother is that. So the question comes, where did this divine mother come from? And why? So those are the things that are described in the next two namas. Of that, we are going to see this first nama, Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta. Where did this divine mother come from? This nama explains that the divine mother came from Chidagni Kundam, hence Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta. If we carefully observe, this nama does not say Agni Kunda Sambhuta. Agni means fire, right? From a fire kundam. It doesn't say Agni Kunda Sambhuta. Whereas Vasinyadi Vak Devatas specifically prefix the Agni Kundam with the term Chid and say Chid Agni Kunda Sambhuta, right? Chid means Jnanam. Chid Agni Kunda means Jnana Kundam. Yeah, that's who. So this is Chid. What we know is a Agni Kundam, but this Nama coined very specially by Vasinyadi Vak Devatas say that it Ambal came from Jnana Kundam. That's what Chidagni Kundam means. The one who emerged from the Jnanagni of pure consciousness. One who comes only through meditation and Vicharana. How does Jnana come? How does one become a Jnani? Through repeated Vicharana, right? So in that heat, that Agni, that is the Chidagni, the one who comes as a Jnana Agni through repeated meditation and Vicharana is Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta. Now, we know Agni Kunda. Agni Kunda means a sacrificial altar where a yagyam is being done. That's an Agni Kundam. The guna of Agni, if you see, is to purify anything put in it. For example, gold is melted in Agni in order to remove the impurities in it. Hence, Agni is called Pavaka, one who removes all the Pavam, right? Like that, Jnanam as an Agni, Chidagni, Jnanam as Agni purifies our thought. So, it helps us to understand what is unreal or Maya versus what is truth or Sat. So, Chidagni means Jnana Agni. Now, what is this Chidagni and how is it different from an ordinary Agni Kundam? That's the essence of what we are going to see in this Nama. In order to understand that, we will go to Lalitopakyanam, which describes the story of a Maha Yagyam done by Parashambhu and how Ambal manifested from that Chidagni. The entire story of Bandasura Vadam is described in several other namas coming later. So we will only see those aspects of this story of Bandasura Vada needed to understand this specific nama, Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta. So let's get started. Story goes that Lord Shiva missed Sati Devi very dearly. When the Daksha Yagna happened and Daksha did not give the necessary part even after Sati Devi several times told Shiva, several times told Daksha that Shiva must be given his due share, right? So Sati Devi teaches Daksha a lesson and then she gives up herself, right? So Lord Shiva is missing Sati Devi very dearly and he goes into deep tapas, right? So at that time, what happens is the universe is getting roasted with an asura called Tarakasura. Who can take care of Tarakasura? Only Subramanya Swami can take care of it. Who is Subramanya Swami? Subramanya Swami is the divine son of Parvati and Parameswara. Only he can do the vadam of Tarakasura. But only when Parvati and Parameshwara get married, they can give birth to Subramanya Swami. But look what is Lord Shiva doing? He is in deep tapas. He is not even looking at Parvati Devi yet. So he is in this deep state of samadhi. So how will the union of Parvati Parameshwara happen? And how will the divine birth of Lord Muruga happen? Right? So all of these are questions that are coming up one by one. So the Devatas are seeing, oh, this is an intense tapas that Paramashiva is on. We have to make up a plan. So all the Devas devise a plan to wake up the Lord from the tapas. For this, Devatas and Devendra, what do? They call Manmatha. Manmatha is the god of love. We call him as Cupid, right? He has a sugarcane bow and a flower arrow, right? Manmatha, he was tasked to wake up Lord from this deep meditation that he is in. So Manmatha was very arrogant. He's like, I am, none of you is able to wake up him. I am the only one that I'm going to wake up. So with great arrogance, Manmatha goes and tries to wake up Parameshwara. So he brings up an arrow and flower bana and he aims at Parameshwara. Parameshwara was greatly disturbed from his tapas. He opens his eyes with that jwala. He makes Manmatha go into ashes. Right? Now, this story happens. So now Manmatha, because of his arrogance, he is made into ashes. Now, what happens later in Kailash, there was another skilled worker called Chitrakarma. Well, Chitrakarma, since he is very skilled, he tries to make a doll figure from the ashes of Manmatha. He makes it like he puts it together just like in mud in the beach we would put the beach sand and make a figure, right? Like that from the ashes he makes a doll figure. And Chitrakarma prays to Lord Shiva, says, oh, this doll figure looks very good, can you please give life to this doll figure that is made from ash? Our Lord Shiva, he is always filled with karuna. So he says, you want me to give life to this bomma? Okay, I will do that. And he gives life to that form. At that time, Brahmadeva sees this and he says, Banda Banda, Banda Banda. Banda was the one who came from the ashes of Manmatha. Okay. Banda was a good person when he came alive because Lord Shiva himself has given life to him. So, because of that, he was even given mantropadesam in Rudram. He worshipped Rudra with great, fiercely he worshipped Rudra. But soon he became invincible. Nobody was able to control him. He became very powerful and unmanageable. Who was once a Banda as a good person has now become Bandasura. Knowing his powers, Shukracharya, the Danava's guru, made Bandasura as the new ruler of the Asuras. See, Bandasura has so much power, right? So Shukracharya says, why don't you be the king of all the Asuras? So Bandasura becomes the ruler of the Asuras. And then they call Maya and they build a capital city for Bandasura. The capital city is called Shunya Nagara. Shunyam meaning nothing, right? The literally a place of nothing. That's what Shunya Nagara is, right? Because Bandasura is capable of making so many things out of nothing, right? That's why his capital is called Shunya Nagara. Now, with the power given by Shukracharya, Bandasura spreads diseases and illness all over the universe. In addition, he would also go inside everyone and take out everyone's interest. Look at what Bandasura does. Many felt depressed and lacked motivation. Many were in a mandasthiti, waking up at 11 a.m. instead of 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. They would wake up and say, why do I need to do this? And they'll go in this mandasthiti. See, if we closely observe, the story of Bandasura is not something that happened in the past. We see many around us having mental health challenges even today. That's the effect of Bandasura. That is why we pray to Lalitambika for Bandasura Vada. The Asura grew powerful day by day. He ruled over 6,000 years. This Asura had kids, grandkids, and everyone was performing yajnas and receiving all the palans of the yajnas. And they were using the mantropadesam that they were given incorrectly to hurt others. Devas and Devatas grew weaker and weaker because all the yajnas that are being done, Devas are the one that usually receive the part of the yajna, right? The palan of the yajna. But nothing is coming to the Devas. The Devatas are like starving, right? They are weak already. If this is not enough, what Bandasura does is he's also receiving a boon that if anyone in the three worlds try to fight with him, Bandasura will get 50% of the opponent's strength. Look at what Bandasura has done. He has used the mantrobadesam incorrectly to hurt others. Now, Devendra and all the other devas, they were all grief stricken hearing this because they are already weak. And if they try to fight, they are going to lose another 50% of their existing strength. So, Devendra goes to the banks of Bhagirathi and begins to do great tapas. That time, Lord Shiva appears before them and assures them that he will help them find a way. At that time, Lord Shiva says, only goddess Lalitambika can help to do Bandasura Vadam. This is very, very important to remember. Only goddess Lalitambika can do Bandasura Vadam. So the first step is to invoke the goddesses, right? From Lalitambika has to come, right? For that, Lord says we have to prepare a very special Agni Kundam. That special Agni Kundam is the Chidagni Kundam. That's the Nama here, Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta, right? So for invoking Goddess Lalitambika, Lord says we have to prepare a very special Agni Kundam called Chidagni Kundam. How big is that Chidagni Kundam? Kundam Yojana Vistaram Samyak Kritva Atishobhanam. Kundam Yojana Vistaram. The Kundam, the Chidagni Kundam is approximately a yojana. A yojana is nearly 8 miles, or like, think of like approximately 10 miles. How big is 10 miles? 8 kilometers. That big of a kundam is this Chidagni Kundam, says our scriptures. Kundam yojana vistaram. That big of a Chidagni Kundam has to be made. Out of great karuna, what Lord Shiva does is that he says the Parashambhu, right? That's Parashambhu is the one who's going to come and help create this Chidagni Kundam. Parashambhu himself comes as the hota or the priest of this Mahayagyam. We have to make a Mahayagyam and we have to make a big Chidagni Kundam. And if you're making a Chidagni Kundam, there should be a priest. And for that, Parashambhu himself, out of great karuna, says, I will be the priest of this Chidagni Kundam. And then Lord opens his third eye and he brings out an Agni. The Agni from the third eye of Parashambhu is called Chidagni. Now, we have created a Chidagni Kundam that's about a, 8 to 10 kilometers big, and in that Agni, in that Kundam, Parashambhu has opened his eyes and brings out his Agni, and we got Chidagni. So we have a Chidagni Kundam and we have Chidagni. Now, Lord says, Devas and Devatas, first self-surrender. Self-surrender by submitting their ahankaram and mamakaram. That is the first instruction. So all the Devas and the Devatas, they self-surrender to the Chidagni Kundam by submitting their ahankaram and mamakaram. Bhaskar Rayer's commentary says, Antar Nirandara Nirindanam Yedamane Moha Andakara Paripantis Samvid Agnav. Samvid Agnav. Samvid Agni means Jnana Agni. What comes out of this Chidagni Kundam that we made? Jnana Agni comes. Ambal does Avirbaham as Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta. That's this Nama, right? That we are reviewing. We had a big Chidagni Kundam in which Parasambhu put his Chidagni, and now Ambal does Avirbaham with Ati Shobanam. Ati Shobanam is very beautiful form in the form of Jnanam. The form of the the divine mother that comes out of the Chidagni Kundam is Jnanam. She is an embodiment, a vigraha, Jnana-Swaroopini. That is the vigraham that comes out of Chidagni. So Ambal is called Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta. Sri Lalitambika comes in a very beautiful form from the Sri Chakram out of this Chidagni Kundam. Jnanam Tukka Roopam for our welfare. See, Brahmam is something that does not have a form, right? But for our welfare, Lalitambika comes out of the Chidagni Kundam having a very beautiful Ati Shobhana form in the Sri Chakram. Brahman took a form, so it is cognizable for us to meditate. See, if somebody comes to us and says, meditate on the Brahman, there is only Brahman. That's the truth. But if somebody says, your life's purpose is to meditate on the Brahman, we we as humans, we need something to define on what to meditate upon, right? If you say meditate upon Brahman, it is very hard. Only like a very realized jnanis are in the state to directly meditate on Brahman without a form. But for the majority of the rest of us, having a form helps us to visualize the Brahman, right? So out of great karuna, Lalitambika takes a very beautiful form coming out of the Chidagni Kunda as Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta, as the form of a Jnana, Jnanambika, Jnana-Swaroopam. That form is the Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta. Now, think about this. Manmatha came and he dared to disturb Lord Shiva in his tapas. Manmatha, instead of using his bana and arrows, if the intent was to wake up Shiva, he could have prayed to the Lord's grace. He could have knelt down before Lord Shiva and said, you waking up is a very important karyam that we have to do for Lokakshemam, because we need you to marry Parvati Mata so we could get Subramanya Swami. We could have done that by praying to Lord Shiva. Instead, what did Manmatha do? He approached with ahankaram. Oh, nobody's able to wake him up. I am the only one. Everybody called Manmatha to do this job. I'm the only one that could do. That's what Manmatha thought. And he dared to go near Lord Shiva. And what happened? He faced the consequences, right? Manmatha was made into ashes immediately, right? So that's what happens when somebody goes to the Paramatma with ahankaram. They that is not right. That is one of the important messages conveyed through this story. Next, earlier the Devatas and the Devas, they also had great mamakaram, that they were the rulers of everything. At that time, what happened? Lord Shiva himself took a form. He came to their rescue and told an upayam. The upayam was to shed the mamakaram and ahankaram and know that there is a supreme that guides us all as Lalitambika. Only after the Devas shed their ahankaram and offered it as ahuti, they had the darshan of Ambal in the Chidagni Kundam. This depicts a fundamental principle of Sri Vidya, that one must surrender all I-ness, right? The I, the ahankaram, that everybody thinks that I did that, I am the only one that could do. The, the surrender of that I-ness is a fundamental concept in Sri Vidya, and that is what is being emphasized here. That surrender of I-ness and the ahankaram is important before they can move further in the avaranas in the Sri Chakram. That is why the story starts by saying this. until the the ahankara is shed. Even if it was Devendra, he must wait in the outmost Bhupuram itself. Outmost Bhupuram is here. Our objective is to have darshan of Sri Lalitambika as here, as Shiva Shakti Aikyam. Lalitambika right here at the top, in the Bindusthanam, right? Bhupura is the outermost Avarna. Even if it is Devendra, unless he sheds the Ahamkara, he's not able to go further. If we have to make progress in our spiritual path to have darshan of Lalitambika, we must shed Ahankara. That's one of the fundamental principles of Sri Vidya that is being emphasized here. The other beautiful concept depicted here is that Lord Shiva is the guru of Sri Vidya and guides us all to humble ourselves and helps us to get the darshan of Sri Lalitambika. So once they put their ahankaram and mamakaram, once the devata shed that, Lord comes as guru. The Parameswara is the guru of Sri Vidya. So that is the reason why he comes and gives an upayam to those who are suffering. So that is another fundamental aspect of Sri Vidya that is being conveyed here. Now, with this, if we read Sri Bhaskaracharya's Bhaskar Rayar's Bhashyam, we can easily understand the concept conveyed here. Says Antar Nirandara Nirindanam Yedamane Moha Andakara Paripandi Samvid Agno. Agni is the Jnanam itself. Ambal takes a form of a Jnana-Swaroopini coming out of this Chidagni, right? Uh, Moha Andakara Paripandini. When we meditate on this form of Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta, Ambal will herself help us shed our ahankaram and our mamakaram in every act, every karma that we have to do, and help us to get her darshan. So we have so many karmas that we have to do every single day. Can we ourselves with our balam and our intelligence try to wipe off all those karmas to get moksham? Is it possible to do that? In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, "O Arjuna, if we try to ourselves try to exhaust the karmas that we have from this life and the past lives, it is going to take several million more lifetimes to do it ourselves. But if we surrender to the Jnana Agni of Ambal, our karmas will be instantly burned down, just like the fire instantly does bhasmam of the firewood. Jnana Agni, what is the power of the Jnana Agni? Jnana Agni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute thata Arjuna. Just like the fire instantly does bhasmam of the firewood, Jnana Agni will do bhasmam of all the karmas that we have, not only in this life, but in the previous lives as well. So that is the Jnanam is the one that can give us moksham, right? That's why this Nama is very important for meditation. Jnana Agni sarva karmani bhasmat kurute tata. Now, let's try to understand the difference between an ordinary Agni Kundam and the Jnana Agni of this Chidagni Kundam from Sri Bhaskara Rayar's Bhashyam. Let's read the Bhashyam one more time. Anta Nirandara Nirindanam Edamane Moha Andakara Paripandi Samvid Agno. Let's see, one side we'll have Agni Kundam that we are familiar with, that we have seen with our eyes, right? Where Yagna is performed. And then let's try to understand Chidagni Kundam and how it is different from the Agni Kundam. Now, Agni in an ordinary Agni Kundam will be done with burning all the flames when the Yagna is complete. When the Yagna is on, the Agni will be going in full steam. But when the yajna, when we put Purnahuti and we complete the yajna, the Agni is done, right? The Agni no longer burns in the Agni Kundam. The yajna is complete successfully. For Jnana Agni does not stop at all. It is always lit. Ordinary Agni Kundam, it is done when the yajna is complete. Whereas Jnana Agni, the Chidagni, is always lit. It is always lit. That is the first difference. That's why Bhaskar Raya uses the word Nirandaram. Antar Nirandaram. Where does it Nirandaram means like permanently it is lit. Where is it lit permanently? Antar Nirandaram. The Divine Mother resides inside us permanently in our Hridayam. That's the first difference. Next, in an ordinary Agni Kundam, we would need to put Ahuti in the form of ghee or some fuel. Only then it will make the fire active, right? Whereas in the Jnana Agni, it does not need any external fuel like a ghee or something to like we put wood sticks, right? Special sticks that make the fire burn for a regular Agni Kundam. Jnana Agni does not need any external fuel. That's why Bhashyam says, Nirindanam Edamane. Unlike the Panchabhuta Agni, the Chidagni, the Jnana Agni, burns even without any fuel. Very, very special, right? How can something burn without any fuel, without any external fuel? That's how we have to understand that, right? Then the third difference is Agni Kundam is kept in a place outside. When we go to temples, when we go to Yagashala, we can see that there is an Agni Kundam, right? A sacrificial place where a yajna is done. Whereas, and it is placed outside. We are able to see physically, right? Whereas this Chit Agni Kundam, the Jnana Kundam, is within each one of us. That's the difference. One is placed outside, this Chit Agni Kundam is inside. So those are the differences between Agni Kundam and Chidagni Kundam. Now, next aspect. Our Purvacharyas classify this Nama, Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta, and the next Nama as well, Devakarya Samudyata, as Prakasa Swarupa Namas. What does Prakasa Swarupa Namas mean? Let's try to understand this aspect of Prakasam. What is Prakasam? Prakasam means that which shines bright, right? Even without any fuel, it shines bright always. That is Prakasam. And when this Chidagni Kundam was made, and when it was invoked, when goddess was invoked, goddess came with a great splendor of Jnanam from the Chit of Brahman. Hence, the reason why it's called Prakasa Swarupa. Prakasa means Jnana Prakasam. That's why we say Jnana Prakasam. He's glowing with that grace, right? Like of the Jnana. Like if you see Adi Shankaracharya's face, you can see that it is lit from inside, right? That calm Swarupa. But out of that great Jnana, it's just like reflected in every aspect of his smile, of his grace, of his calm Swarupa, right? That's the Jnana Prakasam. And hence it's called Prakasha Swarupa. The nature of jnana is to shine, and hence it naturally removes darkness. When there is shine, it means it removes darkness of avidya. Hence, also it is called as prakasham. How can we understand this? Let's take an example. See, we know that sugar is melted. The sugar, right? It is melted, and they used to have this molds, predefined molds, and the melted sugar in different colors will be poured inside the molds. What happens is the molded sugar will take the shape of the mold that is being made. Some will be like a peacock like this. Some will be like a fish. Some will be like a another shape of an animal. Some will be a rabbit. Some will be like an elephant. Whatever the mold shape is, the when we pour the sugar, melted sugar inside those molds, the different shapes will be there in sugar molds. If we see the dolls and the figures made out of the sugar molds, their shapes may be different. You see, some are like this, some are like this, some are like this. Their shapes are different. But if you think about it, the essence in all of them is what? It's only the same sugar that we melted here, right? Even though they have different forms, the essence inside them is only sugar. Similarly, even though we see various forms around us, the essence in all of us is Brahman only. If we get the Jnanam, then the difference in seeing between a swan-like sugar mold versus a fish-like sugar mold will 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 get the jnanam to understand that the essence behind all of them is one and the same, and that is Brahman. That jnanam is hence the one that shines to remove the darkness of avidyas that see many, many different forms. There is not many, many different forms. The essence in each of those forms is that there is somebody who is inside us as Jnana-Swaroopam, as the Brahma Swarupa. The Jnana Agni Chidagni is a prakasa swarupam, knowing that there is only one inside all of us. Okay, so we said Devi came from the Chidagni of Brahman, right? Lord uses his Chidagni and he invokes the Chidagni on the Chidagni Kundam, and from that, goddess Lalitambika came out, right? So we said Lord invoked the Chidagni, and from that Lalitambika came. So Lord and Lalitambika, Lord and the Devi that came out of the Chidagni Kundam. If we say Devi came out of the Chidagni of the Brahman, then the question is Devi and Brahman two different entities? It feels like that, but it's not. They are not two different entities. They are the same. That's what Prakasha Swarupa means. Ambal is a prakasham of the Brahman. She is Brahma Swarupini. They are not two different entities. They are the same. Lord's reflection is Ambal. If Lord is um, the light, Ambal is the Kanti. We cannot separate it. They are one and the same, and hence also it is called as Prakasa Swarupa. For example, another example is, say we have a sportsman who's a Shaktiman and who can run a marathon in 10 minutes. The Shakti to run and the Shaktiman are the same. The Shaktiman is known by the Shakti that is manifested, right? Like that, even though Lord gave from Lord came out of this Shakti, they are not two different entities, they are one and the same. The Lord as Brahman and the Shakti from her as Parabrahma Swarupini, as the Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta, they both are the same. Uh, it says that Goddess Lalitambika is Parabrahma Swarupini, Jnana Swarupini, that came out of the Brahman. It manifested out of the Brahman. So we all can have a form to meditate. If we say Brahman in an abstract Nirguna form, it is very difficult for ordinary devotees like us to meditate upon in a formless form, right? So out of great Karuna, Lalitambika herself makes a form so that we all can benefit. We all can meditate on that form of Goddess Lalitambika. Next, there is a very interesting aspect that is bestowed by Durvasa Maharishi. In his Aharya Dvishati, he gives the location of this Chidagni Kundam in one of the shlokas. Let's review that. Acharya Durvasa says, Sata Nasya Analakone Satatam Pranamami Kundamagneyam Tatra Stitam Chavahnim Taralasika Jatilam Ambika Janakam. Durvasa Maharishi says, in the center, after all the avaranas that we cross and go, finally we will reach Chintamani Gruham. Assume that there is a Chintamani Gruham here. This is the highest a sadhaka can reach, right? The divine feet of Parvati Parameswara. In the Chintamani Gruham, in the 1,000-petal lotus of Sahasrara, right? Chintamani Gruham. This is where Shiva Shakti Aikyam happens. This is where Lalitambika resides as Kameshwari and Kameshwara. Very special aspect, right? So Chintamani Griham. Let's say in the center there is Chintamani Griham. There are 4 directions surrounding the Chintamani Griham, right? East, west, north, and south. 4 directions. Acharya says, Anala Kone. So this is east, this is south. Southeast, in the corner of south and east, Analakone, in the southeast corner of the Chintamani Gruham, is where the Chidagni Kundam is there, says this shloka. Sata Nasya Analakone. In the southeast corner of Chintamani Gruham, Kundamagneyam. What is that Kundamagneyam? Chidagni Kundam. There is an Agni Kunda, which is Yojana in area and Yojana in depth. We saw, right? Like, let's say 10 kilometers is a Yojana, right? Approximately. 10 kilometers wide Kundam is there. Agni Kundam, not just ordinary Agni Kundam, Chidagni Kundam, and 10 kilometers in depth. That big of an Agni Kundam. Kundamagneyam, he says. Ambika Janakam. From that Kundam is where Sri Lalitambika manifested. This is the way to meditate on this Chidagni Kundam. And Acharya says, Satatam pranamami kundamagne. Satatam pranamami. Satatam means I always, every day, repeatedly worship on this Chidagni Kundam. And the Amba, because that is the Kundam in which Amba manifested for the welfare of all of us as Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta. Hence, this Nama is meditated as Om Chidagni Kunda Sambhutaye Namaha. See how very beautifully Durvasa Maharishi gives the location of the Chidagni Kundam. So now when we meditate, we have to think of the Chintamani Gruham. Chintamani Gruham has 4 directions in the south and the east. Between the south and the east, that is the southeast corner of the Chintamani Gruham, is this Chidagni Kundam. This is how we have to meditate on the Chidagni Kundam. Why? Because it's a Jnana Kundam, right? This is where we get the Jnana, and that's why this Nama is very special for meditation. The hint here is that if we meditate on this Chidagni Kundam, we are getting very, very close and close to Chintamani Graham, the Bindusthanam, right? Where is this Chintamani, where is this Chidagni Kundam? Very close to the most auspicious Sahasrara Padma, right? Chintamani Graham. So, Acharya is hinting, if we are meditating, constant meditation of this Chidagni Kundam and Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta will get us very close to the Chintamani Graham. This is what every sadhaka does sadhana for Janma Janmas, right? Acharya gives a very beautiful hint that if we keep meditating on this Nama as Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta, then we are very close to having darshan of Shri Kameshwara and Kameshwari in the Chidagni, in the Chintamani Griham, right? That's, we can get Ambal's darshanam very soon if we do the dhyanam of Chidagni Kundam. That's the power of chanting these shlokas in Arya Dushati. Now, Sri Kanchi Paramacharya describes in his lectures on Soundarya Lahari that the Jnanam is the original Swaroopam. What did we say as Chidagni? As Chidagni is the Jnana Agni, right? This Jnana, Acharya says, is the original Swaroopam, the inherent definition, the core of Sri Lalitambika. What is the Parabrahma Swarupini's form? Jnanam. She is, if Jnanam took a form and came, and that is the original Swarupam, the inherent definition of Sri Lalitambika. She is Jnanambika. And Ambala's Jnana Swarupini manifests as Aho Purushika. Where does this term Aho Purushika comes? In Soundarya Lahari. In which shloka? Kvanat Kanchi Dama Karikalaba Kumbhastananata Parikshina Madhye Parinata Sharaschandra Vadana Danurbanam Pasham Shrinimapi Dadana Karatalaihi Purastadastam Naha Puramati Purushika Puramati Purushika Aho Purushika. They exclaiming in wonder. Acharya is exclaiming, Aho. Aho means, oh, what a wonder. The Brahman, which is formless. Aho Purushika, you took a form, right? That exclamation in wonder is Aho, and it's followed by a word Purushika. Purusha, like in Purusha Shuktam, refers to the supreme. Aho Purushika is the wonder-filled counterpart of the Brahman that reveals itself and comes from the Parabrahman. So he says Aho Purushika. Aho Purushika. Who's the Aho Purushika of? She's the Aho Purushika of Puramaditur. Puramadir is Shiva, who is the vanquisher of the Tripura, right? He's the winner of the Tripuras, right? So Puramaditur Aho Purushika. She's the great pride incarnate of the greatest Purusha. So she's called Purushika, not just Purushika, Aho Purushika, right? Because they're enjoying this aspect of Ambal being the Jnana-Swaroopini. Jnanam took a form, the I-ness of Parameswara, the pride of Parameswara. The Purusha is the Parameswara. She is Aho Purushika, the I-ness. When Parameswara says mine, I, right? That is Lalitambika, right? So the I-ness of Parameswara, she takes a form as the supreme queen and establishes a Jnana Samrajyam inside all of us. Right? She is Sri Maharajni. What she does, she nicely gets seated in her Simhasanam inside our Hridayam as and runs the Jnana Samrajyam. Right? That's who a Jnani is. Inside a Jnani, seated in his heart, is the divine, who is a Jnana-Swaroopini, the supreme queen, who establishes her Rajyam as Jnana Samrajyam. That's who is worshipped as Aho Purushika. Here, Acharya not just prays for him alone as Aho Purushika, but includes each one of us in his prayers and says, Purasta dastam naha. Naha means not just one, but for all of us. He says, for all of us, Purasthat, in front of our eyes. Astam, let that Aho Purushika give us Pratyaksha Darshanam in a cognizable form. If we say Jnanam, we need a form to worship, right? Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta. When she comes a Sampurna Avirbhavam from the Chidagni, we need a form to meditate. That form, how is that? That form has sugarcane bow, it has flowers as bahana in her hands, pushpabana, it has pasham, it has ankusham, and the Jnana Swarupini took a form so that we all can meditate her as Shri Kanchi Kamakshi. That is this Nama Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta. As next steps, with Acharya's blessings, let's review the next Nama in Sri Lalita Sahasranama. Loka samasta shukino bhavantu. May everyone in this whole world be happy. Thank you so much, everyone. Shri Matre Namaha.